Yes, it's that time of year once again. Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference took place in California earlier this week, and they had loads of exciting announcements about all of their platforms. In this video, we'll discuss what's coming to your iPhones, your iPads, your Macs, and even your Vision Pros. And we'll also discuss Apple Intelligence. So sit back, relax, and let's see what Tim and the gang had in store. We started off by discussing Apple TV and some of the exciting shows that are coming to the platform, including new seasons of Silo, Severance, and Dark Matter, which is returning for a second series. One of the ways you can watch Apple TV shows is on your Apple Vision Pro, and Vision Pro is getting Vision OS 2 now. Impressive considering it's only been out a few months. Vision OS 2 can use machine learning to make any photo a spatial photo, making it much more realistic to view in virtual reality. Most people don't have many spatial photos right now, so this will be a great way to deal with some of the back catalogue. New gestures have been added to perform commonly used actions like getting back to the home screen. And in a move that might be interesting for people with vision impairments, your Mac screen can now be much bigger in the Vision Pro. Apple say you can have two 4K displays alongside each other, which sounds pretty cool. Vision Pro is coming to a number of new countries, including some in the EU, but no Ireland. Why, Apple? Why? Anyway, after that heartbreak, it was on to iOS. iOS continues the trend of interesting features for people with sight loss with a much more customizable home screen. Not only can you tint app icons and move them anywhere you want on the screen now, but you can actually make them much bigger. This will be really interesting and we'll have to see how this works in time. The Control Center is getting pages and third-party controls, so app developers will now be able to add controls from within their apps to the Control Center. Very cool. These controls from third-party apps are going to be implemented through a new Control Kit API, which will also allow users to add the controls to their lock screen and control them with the Action button on iPhone 15 Pro and up. Apps can now be locked behind Face ID, Touch ID, or a passcode, and they can also be hidden. So if you've got an app that you don't want others seeing on your phone, you can hide it and nobody will know it's there. If you want to make sure your kids aren't posting on your WordPress blog, this will probably help with that. Messages and iMessage are getting an upgrade too, and now you can react with any emoji you want. I shall be limited to the fire emoji no more. You can also now schedule messages to send later, so you no longer have to annoy people at 2 in the morning. There are also new text effects coming to messages, but we'll have to wait and see how these work with VoiceOver. Should be interesting. The recently introduced Journal app is also getting an upgrade, and you can now search through your journal entries. Apple were criticised for not introducing this feature sooner, but better late than never. Gamers can also rejoice as game mode is coming to iOS with reduced latency for controllers and AirPods. The last major change on the iOS side for now is the Photos app, which is getting a total redesign. They've removed the tab bar and have completely redesigned the gallery. I've mixed feelings about this one, but we'll see how it turns out. AirPods are getting voice isolation, and when Siri asks you a question in your AirPods, you can simply nod to respond. That's very impressive. A new feature on Apple TV will be able to boost character dialogue, which may be helpful for those who are hard of hearing. And a new feature called Insight will be able to give you, well, insight into the shows you're watching, with information about everything from the actors to the music. After our quick stop with AirPods and Apple TV, we were over to the Apple Watch, which is getting new metrics for workouts. Specifically, they're adding an intensity rating, where your workouts will be graded on their intensity between 1 and 10. You can adjust this afterwards for increased accuracy if you want. For the hardcore athletes among you, the Apple Watch now tracks training load. I'm not even going to pretend to understand what that means, but it does it now. There's a new Vitals app coming to the Apple Watch 2, which will be able to track your vitals and provide you with notifications if anything seems wrong. Apple clearly focus on health and fitness with Apple Watch these days, so for those who care about that, these are all brilliant improvements. The final big change on Apple Watch this year is live actions, so the Smart Stack can dynamically adapt to whatever's happening on your device. whether you've ordered something from Deliveroo or maybe you've left the country, so you might have a translate widget there. These quality of life improvements really do make a big difference. Over to the iPad now, where FaceTime is getting a major upgrade. Not only can people draw on your screen to demonstrate something when you're screen sharing, but they can now also request to control your device. I do wonder what way this will work with VoiceOver, but Family Tech support has certainly got a significant improvement. You can now have multiple views in freeform, which will likely make some presentations easier. And in a move that feels like it could have happened 10 years ago, the calculator is making its way to the iPad. Apple were very understated about this, weren't they, Craig?
It's changing the way you do math.
Oh, Apple, you never fail to disappoint. We're off to the Mac next, but what are we going to call this year's Mac OS? We are going from Sonoma to Sequoia. Very fancy indeed. The biggest update on the Mac side this year is the ability to control your iPhone from your Mac. The iPhone appears as a window on your Mac, and you can completely control it using the trackpad. You can use apps, drag files between the two devices, and so much more. The physical iPhone remains locked while you do this, so it's super secure. Pretty cool. A new Passwords app is coming to the Mac and Apple's other platforms like iPhone and Vision Pro too. It's really an expansion of iCloud Keychain. We'll have to wait and see what impact this has on 1Password, NordPass, and all the other password managers on the market. It is interestingly coming to Windows, so it stands a good chance of being quite competitive. Finally, it was on to the big announcement of the day. Apple Intelligence. Apple's answer to Google Gemini and Microsoft Copilot. Apple Intelligence runs mostly on device and knows lots of your personal information. It can then use that information to answer questions and generally help you out a bit. For example, it can prioritize your notifications, and there's a new focus mode that only gives you notifications that are relevant to you at any given time. Text editing is also getting an AI upgrade, as there's new proofreading tools and tools to help you summarize long strings of text. This will also help in summarizing things like email. Pretty cool. Siri's got an all-new design, now understands your personal information, and can do a lot more actions on the phone, which should be really useful. Especially useful for those using Siri with a vision impairment. Siri will also understand if you fluff your words a bit, which will be very useful for me trying to make this recording. Because Apple Intelligence knows so much about you and runs on your device, it'll also be able to help you fill forms, which is great. New rewrite tools will let you change the tone of any response in an email or any other text you're writing. So you can sound angry or sad, or just sound a little bit more pleasant when you haven't had your coffee yet. And for when you really want to be that bit more casual, you can now use Genmoji. It's generative and emoji put together. This feature lets you generate your own emojis from simple descriptions. It's going to be interesting to see how VoiceOver describes these Genmojis, but time will tell on that. There's a new cleanup tool for photos which will help remove distracting objects in the background. This could be great for visually impaired people who may not even know there was an object in the background in the first place. You can make voice recordings in the Notes app and have them automatically summarized when you're done. And recordings also seem to be making their way into the phone app, with everybody getting alerted if a call starts being recorded. Apple Intelligence doesn't have a massive world knowledge, so Apple have partnered with ChatGPT from OpenAI. If Siri isn't able to answer your request with Apple Intelligence, it can offer to pass it over to ChatGPT. If you accept, you'll get the response from ChatGPT just within the Siri interface, as if it's a Siri response itself. This blend of ChatGPT and Apple Intelligence sounds really interesting, and I'm definitely excited to try it. And that was it. That was WWDC 2024 in a nutshell. We hope you've enjoyed this simple recap. Be sure to check out the Talking Technology podcast on this YouTube channel for more of our thoughts, and be sure to subscribe for more accessible content like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.